Okay, welcome to another meeting. So, this is the horoscope of a great saint in our Hinduism, who is also a great devotee of goddess Kamachi. This is the horoscope of Kanchi Maha Periyavar. He was born on 20 May 1894, 1:18 p.m., that is noontime, at Viluppuram. So, the ascendant is Leo ascendant. Let's see how the planets are placed in various houses. The ascendant lord is Sun, because the owner of Leo sign is Sun, and Sun is in the ninth house. Here, you can see in the Rasi chart, Sun is in the 10th, but in Bhava, Sun has moved to the ninth house here. So Saturn and Ketu is in the second house, Virgo. Moon is in the fourth house, that is Scorpio, and Mars is in the seventh house, that is Aquarius, Kumbh Rashi, and Rahu and Venus are in the eighth house, that is Pisces sign, Meena Rashi, and Jupiter is in the 10th house, which is in the sign of Taurus, that is Rishabha Rasi. And there is a Parivartana between Venus and Jupiter. How there is a Parivartana? Venus is in the house of Jupiter and Jupiter is in the house of Venus. Now, let's see what the classical textbooks of astrology has to say about the horoscope of this great saint. So now let's see what Brihasutram has to say about the presence of various planets in houses. So Saturn is in the second house, the Lagna is empty. So we'll move with Saturn in the second house. So the first word, when Saturn is in the second house, the Maharishi says that the person will have an always will be want of money, and he will also be in need of money, and there will be two wives, which means that the first wife will die and he will marry again. The Rishi further says that Papayute Darvanchanama Tadipa. That means Papayute means if it is with malefics or associated with malefics, the native will have an intention of playing foul play with women. And the positive side is he will be in charge of a religious institution. That is, he will be connected with a mat or mata. On the same side, the person will have no lands and he will also have eye problems. So Saturn in the second house, the Maharishi has given one hint seriously that the native will have a financial problem, that is a necessity. He will always have intention of in need of money, and he will be in charge of a mata. And there is more than one marriage combination. So now we are going to see about moon in the fourth house. So the first point is the particular individual who has moon in the fourth house, Rajyabhishekaha. That means the person will become, and he will be made as a king, or we can say he will be crowned as a king. In government status, like if you are being a politician, then he will attain a very high status in the government. And Ashwavanaha, Shiras Mrutihi. That means he will have Ashwa means horses. So he will have many horses, like you can say there will be more vehicles and he will have luxury vehicles also. And there will be more financial prosperity and also agricultural lands. But the mother of this person will be sick. And there will be abundant quantities of milk the native will possess. But the native will be fed by milk of another mother. So there is a hint that the native's mother will have some problems and he will get more amount of food to consume, and he will be fond of more than one woman than his wife. And if moon is strong or being full or in his own sign like Cancer, the mother will be long lived. So here the moon is strong, but the mother will be short-lived if the moon is weak. And if the moon is waning, then there will be problem with comforts and conveyances, but he will enjoy comforts if the moon is strong. So if the Lord of Fourth is exalted, the native will have good fortune of owning many kinds of conveyances. So here the moon is strong, so the native had good support from the mother. And again, there is a hint that the native will have attraction towards another woman in his life. So two instances. If it is just one instance, we can have just give some importance, but there is more than one instant where the Maharishi is hinting the native will have more than one wife. And then let's see Mars in the seventh house. I don't know how I'm going to read that. Anyway, let's see. Because it has more sensitive and censored contents. So if Mars is in the seventh house, the native will suffer on account of bad health. And if Mars is in the house of a malefic or associated with a malefic, or even if he is in his own sign, the native will lose his wife. So even however the Mars is, the native has a tendency of losing his wife. If Mars is associated with a benefic, the wife will die in the time of native and later will go away from the native land. There is some serious problem with the marriage life. If Mars is in the sign of exaltation, that is, if Mars is in Capricorn or in the sign of a friend or in his own sign or associated with a benefic or in the sign of a malefic, the native suffers loss of wife. So in any situation of Mars, there is going to be loss of wife. If this is not going to happen, the native will secretly develop physical connections with women. And he will also have unnatural intercourse with quadrupeds and will be fond of drinking liquor. If Mars is aspected by Saturn, the native will touch with his mouth the physical parts of women. If Mars is associated with Ketu, the native will not mind having intercourse with a woman in menses. If Mars is associated with an inimical planet, the native will suffer loss of many wives. He will be without potential and will be full of vanity. It will not be so if Mars is aspected by a benefic. So there is serious problem when Mars is in the seventh house. And only an aspect of benefic can solve this problem. The Maharishi has finally given only one hint that if Mars is aspected by a benefic, such problems will not be there, and that's only a hint, or that's only a supporting evidence. If Mars is also going to be severely afflicted, and even if there is another connection with benefics, then again there is going to be a problem. Mars should not be afflicted by any chance, and then it should be purely aspected by a benefic or with benefic means the person's marriage life will be good. And now we will see Venus in the eighth house. Rahu Ketu will come at last, okay? So we will see Venus in the eighth house. The first thing the Maharishi says is the person will be happy, but his mother will suffer from throat trouble in his fourth year. See, when we are talking about the mother of another person, we should actually see certain things in his horoscope only. From this, we can only get a small hint, and if the third house of the mother is afflicted, then we can confirm this. Because from the native's horoscope, we cannot say everything about the mother or father or the child. We can just get a hint, that's all. That too, when the Venus is in the eighth house, where eighth house is not connected to mother and Venus is also not connected to mother. And for this person, the Lord of fourth house is Mars only and it is not Venus. So this will not be applicable highly to this person. He will have less than medium span of life and will be sickly. He will have a devoted wife, but he will be discontented. That is, he will not be happy with the wife. If Venus is in the house of a benefic, the native will enjoy full span of life. If Venus is associated with a malefic, the native will be short-lived. This Venus is actually in its Uchasthana, but it is 7 degrees from Rahu. So this Venus is afflicted, and and Saturn from the opposite side is looking at Venus. 83%. You can see it here. So again, there is a hint that the person will not have a contented wife, and there is a problem with the lifespan also, and there is a problem with health also. Now we will see Sun in ninth house, because Sun is in the ninth house along with Mercury. So we will see Sun and Mercury in ninth house. So if Sun is in the ninth, the native will be a devotee of Sun and other gods. He will be religious minded, but not much fortunate, and will be inimical to father. If Sun is exalted or in his own sign, the results will be very favorable. The native will be blessed with wife and children. The native's father will be long lived. He will also be very healthy, will take interest in religious rites and meditation, and will be devoted to the preceptor and the God. If the Sun is posted in the sign of debilitation, that is in Libra sign, or enemy or any malefic connection, or if he is aspected by a malefic, there will be loss of father. If the Sun is aspected by or associated with a benefic, the father will be long lived. So this is with connection to Sun in the ninth house, where the Maharishi says there will be problem with father and he will be religious minded. The second line is he will be religious minded but not much fortunate. So that's what the Maharishi says, and the native will be blessed with wife and children. The native's father will be long lived. So all these are the points when Sun is in the ninth house. Now let's see Mercury in the ninth house. Because Mercury is along with the Sun in the ninth house, and it is combust also. You can see that the degree of Mercury and Sun is same. Any planet 7.5 degrees, that is 7 degree 30 minutes from Sun, is heavily influenced by Sun, and that planet becomes combust. That is, it experiences the burnt effect of Sun. It is very close with Sun, so it gets extreme amount of heat from the Sun. Mercury in ninth house. If Mercury is in the ninth house, the native will have many children. He will be learned in Vedas and Shastras, fond of music, very patient, religious minded, full of glory, wealthy and fortunate, and his father will be long lived. He will be well cultured and will take interest in meditation. So generally the person will have a religious inclination. He will learn Vedas and Shastras, and he will have a full of glory, wealthy, unfortunate. So though the Mercury is afflicted to some extent, the wealthy and also the problem of longevity of the father will have a problem, but he is learned in Vedas and Shastras. And finally, we are coming to Jupiter in the 10th house. So Jupiter in the 10th, the native will be religious minded again, and will perform righteous deeds, study Gita, that is Bhagavad Gita, and will be very able, will have widespread reputation, and will be respected by the masses. If the Lord of the 10th is strong, the native will perform high-class religious sacrifices. If the Lord of the 10th is associated with a malefic or is in the house of a malefic, there will be obstacles in his professional career, and the native will indulge in evil deeds and will suffer financially. So Jupiter is the planet of divinity, and when Jupiter is in the 10th house, the native will be religious minded and will have a widespread reputation. So we know about the reputation of this person. He is he was literally the top religious leader during his times, and he will be respected by the masses. And we know how even the important celebrities in India and also celebrities from abroad visited the great Kanchi Maha Periyavar. If the Lord of the 10th is strong, the native will perform high-class religious sacrifices. The Lord of the 10th is Venus, and Venus is strong. It is 151 in Charbala, and it is exalted also. So he has done so many religious activities, needless to say, and he is a role model of most of the saints of today. He is also not famous only for the particular sect inside Hinduism. He supports both Advaita, that is the Vaishnavites group, and also the Shaivites group. He also prays to Lord Rama. He is extremely devotional to Kanchi Kamakshi Amman, and he is also offering so many prayers to Lord Shiva. So on both sides of Hinduism, he is very reputed. And now we will see lots of different houses. So now the first thing is first lord in ninth house. Sun has moved to the ninth house in Bhavachan. So if the ascendant lord is situated in ninth house, the native will be fortunate, dear to people, devotee of Lord Vishnu, skillful, eloquent speaker, and will be endowed with wife, sons, and wealth. Yeah, he was devotional. Ninth is the house of devotion, guru, father, and he was a devotional person. We know that not just an ordinary devotional person, he's extremely devotional. He's a role model, as I already said. And the second lord is Mercury, and that is in the ninth house in Bhava chart. So, second lord in ninth house. The native will be wealthy, diligent, and skillful. He remains sickly in childhood, but happy in the remaining years of life. He visits shrines and observes religious rites again and again and again. So many hints for religion. And we also know how religious he was, needless to say. Third lord in the eighth house. So in third order, the native will be a thief, will derive his childhood from serving others and will be killed by a king. So there is some serious problem if third lord is in the eighth house. The Maharishi says the native will be a thief and he will be killed by a king. And here the third lord is afflicted also. It is with Rahu and also aspected by Saturn. I will come to in detail what the other significations are also going to mean in this horoscope also. So now the fourth lord in the seventh house. The native will be highly learned in various branches of knowledge, will apt to leave his paternal property and will be akin to the dumb in an assembly. So the person will not speak and is not eligible to have the father's property. Fifth lord in the 10th house. If fifth lord is in the 10th house, the native will be blessed by the Raja Yoga and will have various pleasures and be very illustrious. Raja Yoga doesn't mean that it is only governmental favor, but it also means he will be a top position in his field because it is connected to the boss also. So he will have a good reputation with the boss, and he will also be regarded as one of the big person in his company or in his domain where he is working. So fifth lord in the 10th, and that is Jupiter. Fifth lord is not just an ordinary planet, it is Jupiter. So, in connection with this, we have to read. Fifth lord is Jupiter, and that is in 10th house. Correct? And we saw that when fifth lord is in the 10th house, there will be government favor, and Jupiter in the 10th house, it is indicating the person will be extremely religious, will do religious sacrifices, religious rites. So, now we can get the connection, right? And seventh lord in second house. Now, seventh lord is in the second house. The native will have many wives, will gain wealth through his wife, and will be of procrastinating nature. So, there is some negative points connected to marriage, and he will have a procrastination. Sixth lord in the second house, because Saturn is also the sixth lord. The native will be adventurous, illustrious in his family, and will live in alien countries or foreign lands, be happy, be a good speaker, and be interested in his own work. Most of the scenes we know that they will be interested in their own work, but that doesn't mean that they are selfish. This person becomes a saint, then his own work is going to be devotion, which is to serve God. And he will also be adventurous. Adventurous in this context will become something connected with framing new things, like discovering what is said in the same religion, but it is not well aware in the public. Like, for example, in women were not given equal rights in the new Vedic system, but in the old Vedic system, women were given equal rights. So, discovering such things and bringing it to the public, all these things can be said as adventurous connected to this person, and will live in alien countries or foreign lands. Alien countries or foreign lands, again, we need not always connect it with living exactly in foreign lands. When a person himself becomes saint, like how they will not have an association like enjoyment with other people. They will spend most of the time in puja rooms or in like living alone. But when there is a chance given to speak in the public, They will describe like what are all said in Vedas. Now we will see 8th Lord in the 10th house. See, whenever you are reading Bhrigu Sutram or BPHS, after knowing about the person, you can easily fit what it is said. And of course, there will be some statements that is not going to fit, but we are not, no, like every person is not going to live the same kind of life. But what is repeated in most of the cases will imply, and we have to connect Bhrigu Sutram with BPHS so that we are going to get a clear idea of what both the saints are saying and how the person has led their life. So, 8th Lord in the 10th house, the native will not have paternal bliss, will be a tail bearer, and be bereft of livelihood. If he is in the aspect, in the process from a benefic, these evil deeds will not mature. So, here the 8th Lord is Jupiter, and there is a slight affliction from Mars. Mars is aspecting Jupiter, and Sun is also along with Jupiter. It is 11 degrees away from Jupiter. Sun is 6 degrees and Jupiter is 7 degrees, 17 degrees, and there is a 11-degree gap between Jupiter and Sun. So there is an affliction, but not a very high amount of affliction. So, and yes, he did not get a paternal bliss for a long period of time. And bereft of livelihood is there will not be a said profession for this person. Like he is doing this. When you become a saint itself, like when you become a saint, that means you are devoted to God in a complete way, and it is not a doing, it is like a sacrifice. And we also saw Jupiter in the 10th house, the person will have do religious sacrifices. So it is much connected with sacrifice. Why I'm hinting Jupiter is here? Jupiter is the 8th lord. 9th lord in the 7th house. 9th lord is Mars, and it is in the 7th house. We will see the native will get happiness through his wife. He will be virtuous and famous. So there is a happiness from wife, and he will be virtuous. Virtuous means following the dharma part of life, and he will be famous. He is not married, but he was virtuous and famous. We'll come to these things like why he did not marry, because there are so many hints about connection with marriage, and also there are problems when it is connected with the Rahu Venus combination. And there are certain instances where the Maharishi says he will get happiness through wife also. So we will see everything. We are covering everything that is said by the Maharishis in both the classical textbooks. Now we will see 10th Lord in the 8th house. 10th Lord is Venus, and it is in the 8th house. The native will be devoid of good acts, long lived, and an intent of blaming others. This is something completely opposite, correct? Because for a lifelong he has been doing so many good acts, but he did live long, and he does not have the intention of blaming others. I don't think so. So we will come to the exceptions. There is a reason, that is Parivartana. What is Parivartana? Jupiter is here in the house of Venus. This particular house is Taurus, and it is owned by Venus. Correct? And Venus is in the house of Jupiter. This particular sign is Pisces, and it is owned by Jupiter. So two planets where Jupiter is in the sign of Venus, and which is owned by Venus, and Venus is in the sign which is owned by Jupiter. So this exchange is called Parivartana. So mostly Parivartanas, when they are good planets, like naturally good planets, and also connected to benefic houses, they tend to give the exchangeable results or the Samantha results in which they are connected with. So we can read as if it is in the 8th house, but it is not exactly in the 8th house. You can make a connection that like Jupiter is in the 8th house, what all the effect that it will do, you can have a reading. And Venus in the 10th house, what it will do, you can have a reading. And 10th lord is in the 10th house and 8th lord is in the 8th house, we can make a reading. And then we cannot put exactly Jupiter in the 8th house and Venus in the 10th house and describe the horoscope. We can make a connection, that's all. Like they are indirectly connected or they are indirectly put in those houses. And 11th lord is in the 9th house. The 11th lord happens to be in the 9th house. The native will be fortunate, skillful, truthful, honored by the king, and wealthy. So this person was truthful and honored by the king and was also wealthy. Now 12th lord in the 4th house. 12th lord in the 4th house, the native will be devoid of maternal happiness and will day by day have losses in respect of lands, conveyances, and the houses. So there will be a decrease in wealth day by day. So now let's connect all the points and see most of what it is said in the various books, and also we will connect the life of this great saint. The great saint was actually a religious leader of his times, and so many celebrities from various parts of the world visited his place, that is the Kanchi Math, and they offered their services, they offered donations, they met him, got blessings from him, etc. He was actually born in a Brahmin family. He got the religious, uh, what all the religious practices that happens inside a family. He got all those things, and in a very young age, that is around the age of 10 or something, like in a very small age, he attained a big position in the mutt. Like the earlier leader of the mutt passed away due to some reasons, like due to fever or something. And he, because of his spiritual nature and his devotion to spirituality, he became a leader in the mutt in a very earlier time. So what became the major combination? The first combination is Jupiter in the 10th house. There is a serious hint given by Maharishi that the person will do so many religious sacrifices. And Jupiter is the fifth lord. Fifth is the house of prayers. Jupiter owns this house, the fifth house for this person. And fifth lord going to 10th, though the Maharishi says it is government favors, it can also be said as a top position, as I mentioned earlier. And Jupiter is the planet or the exact karaka of divinity. All the divine fortune things are ruled by Jupiter. So when this planet attains the 10th house, that is the house of livelihood, then it becomes something serious. This person will have a devotion with the religion in which he is associated. Okay, Srinath is asking why all these things are not completely mentioned in the religious book. See, the answer to this question is lot of houses in different houses, and also Britu Sutram is applicable to all. But what is applicable to this person, we can only see when there is a serious hint given by the sage for one combination, and that repeats more than one time. And for great saints, this will have more than 2 or 3 times repeated, and we also saw that. In the entire book of BPHS and Britu Sutram, both the saints have given what each house is, what each planet is, and then what each Rasi is. Descriptions are given for all the three things in detail. What is 10th house? What is 9th house? What is 8th house? What is 7th? For each house, there is a detailed explanation is given, and then for detailed explanation of planets are also given. That is what is sun, what is moon, till Ketu. Explanations are given. And explanations are also given for what is each Rashi. What is Mesha Rasi? What is Taurus? That is Rishabha Rasi. And we need to pick and connect all these things and then try to fit in the life of the person. So the major combination is Jupiter in the 10th house, which also becomes the fifth lord going to the 10th house, and also the eighth lord going to 10th house. Jupiter's Mula Trikona falls in the fifth house. So the fifth house impact will be more. And the next important hint is the presence of Saturn in the second house, where there is a direct hint, not just a hint, there is a direct saying by the Hirishi itself that the person will be in charge of a mata, that is a mat. And when the Lagna Lord Sun goes to the ninth house, the person will have an extremely devotional mind. All these things are proved. And also Mercury in the ninth house. Again, the person will be learned in Shastra. So again, so many hints. Beyond the negative combinations, like there will be some bad temperaments connected, we have more positive sides connect. That is, we have more points to say about the saintly nature of the person. And also the parivartana that happened between Jupiter and Venus also gives an idea that there will be some effects of Venus being in the 10th house and Jupiter being the 8th house, which will also have a good impact on the person. So the negative effects are becoming very less. And we know about saints, like, and we also know about this person, he is not married. Generally, saints, they do not, they are not much attached to the worldly pleasures. There are saints who bought cars, who looked rich, but this particular person was a very true saint and extremely devotional. He was not interested in buying cars or having luxury. We know, like he had only a stick in his hand, and since he had some eye troubles, which is also mentioned in the book, he was wearing a specs. And entire lifetime he devoted to the religion from a very young age. And Mercury in the ninth house, the person will be learned in Shastras, and in a very young age, he became a good religious leader. And we will see what is Ketu in the second house and Rahu in the eighth house also. I forgot that, sorry. So Rahu Ketu in the second house. The native will be poor, will suffer from disease of body, loss of children, and will be dark complexion. If Rahu or Ketu is associated with malefic, the native will have mark on lips. And then eighth house. If it is in the eighth house, the native will be very sickly. Lifespan of native will be of 32 years. It will be 45 years if it is associated with benefic. And it will be 60 years if the Lord of the eighth house is stronger in the sign of exaltation. The lifespan is somewhat afflicted. But for saints who see, generally what we do is we suggest remedies to pray God. But when an entire life is devoted to God, then most of the bad things, whatever is said in the horoscopes, mellows down, and most of the good things started to happen. But for that, what is the main reason the person has to become a saint or extremely devotional to God? That we have said already. Jupiter in 10th, Saturn in the second, and Sun in the ninth house, Mercury in the ninth house, and the parivartana between Jupiter and Venus reduces most of the negative combinations that we said. Now we will come to the other aspects like why he did not get married. Because generally, when you attain uh, a saintly status, a devotional status in the earlier part of life, they don't tend to marry. But there are some saints who married also. First, let's see why there was no marriage. We also saw so many saints, like married, and they also had a marriage life. But when it comes to Kanchi Maha Periyavar, the seventh house is seriously afflicted. When Mars is in the seventh house, we saw how bad it will behave. Only an aspect of Jupiter can save Mars, or that is an aspect of benefic. So either Jupiter or Venus has to aspect Mars. But we saw here that Mars, Venus is not aspecting Mars. Venus is zero aspects of Mars. And Jupiter is only 31% aspect. We need minimum 75. So this aspect is not enough. So Mars in the seventh house, there is a so much severe hint that the marriage is in problem. Though ninth lord in the seventh house or the fourth lord in the seventh house tends to be a good married life, but Mars alone in the seventh house, there is a serious indication. We are not going to completely just stop Mars in the seventh house. We are again going to search for one more hint. Who is the lord of this house? The lord of seventh house. It is Saturn, correct? And where is Saturn? Saturn is in the second house. So when seventh lord is in the second house, there is a hint that this person will have more than two wives. And we know he never got married. And then there is connection with Saturn with Ketu. Saturn is only 26 degrees and Venus is 15 degrees. So there is a 11-degree gap. Any planet will have an influence on the another planet which is close to him when it is with a gap of 15 degrees. More than 15 degrees, the influence will start decreasing. So Saturn Ketu is 11 degrees, so definitely they are influencing each other. So Rahu and Ketu, they are actually the planet that are said to be considered as a axis because they will be of same degree. Ketu is 15 degree 25 minutes, Rahu is also 15 degree 25 minutes. So when they are moving also, they will move with the same speed each other and they will be always opposite to each other. If Rahu is in the 8th house, Ketu will be in the 2nd house. If Ketu is in the 2nd house, Rahu will be the 8th house. If Ketu is in the 3rd, Rahu will go to 9th. If Ketu is in the 10th, Rahu will go to 4th house. Like that, they will always be opposite to each other. And Rahu and Ketu, they are always retrograde and they mostly they represent the things, most of the negative things from the past. And Rahu and especially Rahu represents something that is opposite of our nature. Rahu represents rebel, obsession, and going against the ordinary nature. And Ketu is mostly related to negligence and avoidance and also of abortive nature and also of something connected with not being so careful, which is mostly opposite of Rahu. Both Rahu and Ketu, they are actually same planets but got disconnected. That is, from the Samudramantan story, we can see how Rahu and Ketu are formed. A Rakshasa who wants to consume the Amrit disguises in the form of a Deva. So Rahu and Ketu, they are not exactly Deva Guna planets, they are only disguised. Rahu and Ketu, they always represent the Maya. They are not really present, they are not physically present. One Rakshasa is disguising as a Deva and he is going to consume the Amrit. But on the event of consuming the Amrit, Lord Vishnu, who is disguised as Mohini, finds that this person does not belong to the Devata clan. So Lord Vishnu, using the Sudarshana Chakra, chops off the head. And since the Amrita is consumed, the Asura is not going to die. And hence, the head, the headless portion becomes Ketu and the head becomes Rahu. Yeah, you are asking the name of the Asura. The name of the Asura is Swan Bhanu, whose head became Rahu and the tail became Ketu after chopped by Lord Vishnu. So they are not so only after chopping it became into two pieces and they are moving in the same direction because the head and tail it's like moving in the same direction. But the direction is not like all the other planets are moving. All the other planets they move this way unless they are going to be retrograde. But Rahu Ketu they always move in the anti-clockwise direction. Ketu is the main planet for sannyas. And Saturn, when it is along with Ketu, it actually enforces sannyasa to a very large extent. And when there is Jupiter aspect and Venus is also aspecting this combination, yes, Mars is also aspecting Saturn, but it is less only. Venus aspect on Saturn is 95 and Venus makes a big impact on that. And Jupiter aspect on Ketu is 96. So there is a heavy, Mars is impacting Ketu more than, but Venus is also aspecting Ketu. So more positive side on Ketu. Two benefic planets are aspecting Ketu like anything, and it brings out the quality of sage from the person. Already we have seen from Brihusutram that there is a indication that the person is going to be a completely religious, devotional person. He will have so many religious sacrifices, etc., etc. What the Maharishis have said about various planets also, we are able to obtain so many information. So Ketu, the planet of saintly nature, is along with Saturn. Saturn is the Pravrajya Karaka. No, like he doesn't want the person to have a materialistic enjoyment of life. He wants the person to stay away from materialistic enjoyment, that is being like a saint and have most of his days to devote himself to God. And Mars in the seventh house is against marriage. Ketu is the planet that always represents a kind of a cut from the planet in which it is associated with. So it is associated with the Saturn, which is the seventh lord, the lord of marriage. Again, there is a problem with marriage. And then Venus, the Karaka of marriage, is also afflicted by Rahu. Now we will come to a very important point regarding marriage. There are actually three combinations every marriage life everyone has in their life when it is connected to marriage. One is a normal married life, that is only one relationship. The another one is multiple relationship, that is one or more relationship. And the third one is no marriage. For more than one relationship combination, we have so many combinations for this person. Mars in the seventh house and seventh lord in the second house. Again, there is a hint. Just one hint is everybody will have. Like everybody in the sense, like just one or two hints, like seventh lord being in the second house alone, or there is a only a minor problem where it is not at all connected to the seventh house, which is the house of spouse. Like, for example, first lord in the first house itself, the Maharishi says the person will have more than one wife. But the actual connection with the spouse is the seventh house only. So even if the seventh lord is in the sixth house where it is not one house, we can take it as one point only, because there are people with seventh lord in the sixth house, they are okay with their marriage. They are living a good married life. But when there is another combination that says there is a problem with marriage. Okay. And then there is Ketu, Rahu Ketu axis. Both are completely, especially Ketu is against marriage. So when there is such combination, because Ketu is always against marriage. Why I am saying here is Rahu Ketu, they are actually called as the anti-dharma axis. Wherever Rahu Ketu is present, they always tend to give most of the results connected from the past life. Rahu and Ketu, wherever they are, they always afflict the planet with which they are present. Ketu here afflicts Saturn, and Saturn also afflicts Ketu. Saturn is the lord of the seventh house, which indicates marriage, and then Ketu is the planet that represents a nihilistic or negligent part of life. So there is a serious condition. Jupiter's aspect and Venus aspect can only know, like, see, aspects are, they are only trying to have an influence. Planets, when they are so close to each other, only the combination in the bhava will have a bigger impact than aspect. So Saturn Ketu combination is only going to be a bigger condition for not having a married life than Jupiter aspecting Saturn Ketu. Even Jupiter is not completely aspecting Saturn, it is only 70%. So Saturn influencing Ketu and Ketu influencing Saturn is only higher. And we have another condition, Mars in the seventh house. We read that, correct? You can see. When I post the video, you can forward that and see. So two big combinations, Mars in the seventh house, seventh lord seriously afflicted, and then this becomes a more than one marriage combination, but no marriage combination where the person will not be married at all, or when there is no relationship combination. Every marriage, whatever I am saying, is a relationship combination only. Because in the present world, the marriage, whatever happening on the stage is just to let the crowd know that you are getting married or you got married. It is just for the world. You are just announcing to the world that you got married. In reality, what it is, only the planets will represent. So for no marriage combination, if Venus is also afflicted, or if the 12th lord goes to 6, 8, or 12th house, where it is not the own house, then the person does not get married. That is, the person should have more than one marriage combination, which is a problem with the relationship. And then if Venus gets afflicted or 12th lord is not in Kendra, then the person is not going to get married. If he is going to get married, then he will enter into more than one relationships again and again and again. So whenever you find horoscopes where there is a severe affliction on the seventh house, and then 12th lord is in the 6, 8, or 12, not in one house, or Venus is afflicted, you can suggest your client or the person who you are consulting not to get married. If there is only the more than one marriage combination where Venus will not be afflicted much, or 12th Lord or around 12th Lord not in 6, 8 or 12, exception one house, you can ask the person to get married again. And if there is no problem or only some small problems in the 7th house or the 7th Lord, you can say like definitely you'll get married. But depending on the quality of 7th Lord, there will be some small problems. Like everybody see, no marriage is 100% good. We know that, correct? Everybody has problems. They will say, when you are you happy with the married life? Some people will say, yeah, I'm happy. But we know that there will be some small fight or some misunderstandings or problem in consuming a child or a marriage itself. There will be a family fight, or there will be some delay, or there will be some health issues connected with both the couples, which will make them worried. So these things will have some minor delays. Those things you can always ignore, especially when it is not connected to the 7th house itself. You can ignore. For example, second lord in the second house itself, the Maharishi says the person will have many wives. 7th house is the house of marriage. If the 7th house is afflicted and then second lord is in the second, then you can make a confirmation that there will be a problem with marriage. First, we need the confirmation from the lord, which is the 7th house, or the direct affliction in the 7th house. Like like Mars or Saturn, Krura Grahas placed in the 7th house, Rahu Ketu, both afflict the 7th house, especially Ketu afflicts 7th house much than Rahu. And then the 7th lord is afflicted further. And then there is the second level combinations like second lord is in the second house, first lord in the first house, where there is no reference made with the uh, 7th house. You can take such things as a additional combination only. It will not be a main combination. Main combination is when there is a direct affliction in 7th and 7th lord is afflicted, there is a main combination, or 7th lord is in Dursthanas like 6, 8 or 12 where it is not one house, or 7th lord is in 9th house afflicted further, or 7th lord is in the 7th lord is in the 9th alone. The Maharishi says the native will have two wives, but when it is afflicted, now we are getting another combination. Already the Maharishi says two wife. Now it is afflicted. Again and again there should be a repetition. Just one, that's what I'm saying. Just one combination. Not everybody, most of the people in the world will have. Even if you inquire your neighbor who is happily living, he will have. See, Saturn is aspecting the 7th lord. He will say, but he will say, yes, are you married twice? No, I am married once. That's what he will say. Saturn is in the 7th house itself. Are you married wife? No, I have only one wife. See, the Krura Graha being in the 7th house, you are married only once. This will be your, not like saying, but he will say, yeah, I'm married once, I'm okay with my partner. But yeah, that's what I'm saying. You cannot go with only one combination. It is like going to the judge and saying that, see, we have got one evidence like a fingerprint evidence, or we have got one evidence like the sniffing dog is hinting at that person. These are all like small evidences. Fingerprint might not have resulted the crime. There will have been some persons also who has actually done the crime. Okay, so when the fingerprint is also for going matching to the same person, when the sniffing of the dog is also matching to the same person, when the mobile tower is also showing that the person was in the same area, if these many combinations, if you go to the judge, if the lawyer goes to the judge, then the judge will start believing. Like that, you have to approach an astrology. With one combination, you can only say, okay, what's the problem in that? That's what the judge will say. Same thing happens here. Where you can believe with one combination is when the Maharishi straight away says there will be a death. There will be a death of spouse, death of children. When the Maharishi goes extreme to the extent of saying there will be death, then you can say. For example, Mangal Dosha. You read Mangal Dosha, the Maharishi straight away says the spouse will die. What is the remedy for that? Jupiter should aspect Mars, or Venus should aspect Mars. Venus or Jupiter should be with Mars. That is the solution given. So what is the solution for that? What is the remedy given for the cancellation of the dosha? Jupiter should be aspecting Mars, or Venus should be aspecting Mars. Jupiter should be with Mars, close with Mars, or Venus should be close with Mars. Or you better marry the person who has the same Mangal dosha. When it is set to that level, we can trust that one single rule completely, like how you go to the judge with the CCTV footage. You go to the judge, see in the CCTV footage, it is very much visible that this person has done that particular crime. Especially in ATM theft, you can see. With the CCTV footage alone, we can prove that if you know that police procedure, like how the footage is marked from this to that, that evidence alone is much more sufficient to accuse that particular person. So to that we can compare. So when the Maharishi goes to the extent of saying that we have to take it very, very seriously as a one line rule. So already for this person, we have Mars in the seventh house. Mangal dosha is also there because of that, because Jupiter and Venus are not aspecting Mars. So aspect of over 75% only we are giving importance. So 31% is not enough to aspect Mars. So this person is Mangalic. Apart from that, Mars in the seventh house, we have seen Saturn being the lord of the seventh in the second. It is again serious problem with marriage. With the now it is with Ketu, which is the planet of negligence, which is the planet of saying no. With that Saturn is. So there will be a problem with marriage. We have got a very strong connection. And then yeah, we have got a strong connection for more than one marriage. Now, when Venus is also afflicted, where Venus deals with all kinds of pleasures where a person enjoys in his life. Yeah. Venus also indicates the physical pleasure that a person enjoys out of with their yeah. So that is also indicated here. And then Venus is also the Karaka of marriage. When the Venus is severely afflicted by Rahu, and it is also aspected by Saturn. Saturn is aspecting Venus 83%. So then this person remains unmarried. With all the combinations of more than one relationship, if the person has Venus affliction, or if the 12th lord goes to 6, 8, or 12 where it is not in one house, then that particular person doesn't get married at all. Yeah, Venus is exalted here. Venus is in Ucham only, but more than exaltation or debilitation, Venus going to 8th house is the first problem. But everybody will be having Venus in the 8th, they are not going to remain unmarried. Venus is further afflicted by Rahu. Again, Saturn is aspecting Rahu. So Venus is severely afflicted here. Exaltation and debilitation strengths, they express how strong the planet is. But houses, in which house they are, with whom they are, that actually causes more problem. And then when they are aspected, that again causes another problem. If it is aspected by good planets, it gives good results. It's not a problem, it is a blessing. When they are with benefits, it's not a problem, it's a blessing. Similarly, in the same way, Venus is now afflicted seriously. So with the combinations of more than one marriage, since Venus is afflicted seriously, this person remains unmarried. There is one saying when it comes to this great saint. There is a saying in Tamil that the only female name he has pronounced is the name of goddess Kamakshi. That's what they say. To that extent, he was very, very devotional to God, and he remained without any, even even by thought or even by any action, he did not think of any female. Yeah. He only thought of goddess. He only, because of Jupiter in the 10th house and the Parivartana that happened along with Venus, he only thought the name of the god, and he always been seen as a renowned person in religion. Now, most of the people, those who have a very strong moon, are born during the Purnami effect. That is, when moon is opposite to sun. Sun is actually in Taurus only. In Bhava only it has moved to the previous house. So this person would have been born exactly on the time of Purnami or one day before or after Purnami. You can see the Tithi is one. That is one day after Purnami, he was born. Most of the persons who give kind of a philosophical advices to the entire world will be born on Purnami. The great Buddha was born on Purnami. How much advices that he give? The saints, the astrologers who were seeing his horoscope were saying he will also become a great king, he will be ruling the world, etc., etc. But only one astrologer said there is a possibility that this person can also become a saint and attain the same kingly status and be famous. Similar to that, Kanchi Maha Periyavar also has attained it. And this moon is in the sign of debilitation only, but in Shadbala, moon is very strong. And then one more combination is the wealth related combination. You can see Saturn, those who are having Saturn in the second house, they will be having a somewhat a simple lifestyle. Or if they are having more wealth, the serious advice given to them is donate. If you are earning some amount, please do donation in any aspect of your life. Like you can donate to orphanages if you are having fifth house problem. You can donate to old age homes if you are having ninth house problem. You can donate to physically challenged people if you are having 12th house problem or third house problem. You can like that do donations in another part of life. Always do that. You know the richest man in India. Who is the richest man in India? Yeah. But if you add the entire profit of Tata Group, then Ratan Tata becomes the richest man in India. But he is not in that list. Do you know the reason why? Yeah, he's doing so much of donations. If he stops doing the donation, then he can easily become the richest man, not only in India and Asia, I think. Ratan Tata has Saturn in the second house. They're doing so much of donation. That is why Tata Group is still able to stand as one of the top foundation in almost every space wherever they are. Starting from car, IT industry, till salt. They are leading in most of the spheres of their foundation because they are doing so. The chairman, Mr. Ratan Tata, is doing so much of donation, and he's also, if you see his life, he's trying to lead a simple life. When you have a second house problem, you need to live a simple life. Please don't expose your wealth. Yes, we have seen the chart earlier. How a person exposed the wealth, conducted a marriage which got a place in the records. Yeah, 800 crores for a marriage for the foster son and going to prison, being one of the top positions in the politics, and finally died. So the advice is when you have second lord connected to Saturn or Saturn directly, especially Saturn directly placed in the second house, please do donation to some area of your life. Even if second lord goes to connects with Saturn, or second lord is weak and again connected with Saturn. For example, if your Lagna is if your Lagna is here, consider your Lagna is Tula Lagna, and second lord becomes Mars. Let's say Mars is here in your chart. Okay. Let's say Saturn is here along with Mars. Now this Mars is afflicted. Even for this person, since the second lord is connected with Saturn, though Saturn is directly not in the second house, you can advise this person to do some kind of donation. So second is also the house of family. So sages, they don't have a family. They only know like where they're always very spiritual in nature, and if they are always disconnected from the family. And the Lord of second house goes to the ninth house here. Yes, in Bhava it is in the ninth house, and in Chadbala is also weak. So this person will not have much wealth. But he was actually like managing wealth of the trust. Though he did not have wealth, he was actually managing most of the wealth. I have seen such combinations in people those who are working in bank. He will be in serious debt, but he will be counting crores of money daily, or at least lakhs of money. In accounts, at least he will calculate lakhs or crores. How he will think when he is going home? See how much money I counted today. but I am in serious debt. To pay the loan for the next month, I don't have enough money. I have to get borrow money from the another person. That's how they have. And we have seen the Purnami effect. We have seen the renunciation of most of the pleasures in life. Venus also indicates pleasure of having all kinds of materialistic pleasures, like having a rich car, mobile phone. Yeah, the wealth combination, the person will be wealthy. It has been indicated. The person was actually managing that wealth, but he did not have that wealth. The wealth was donated to the trust that where he is the leader. With the trust, he was actually doing donation. Yeah, seventh lord is retrograde. Seventh lord Saturn is retrograde only. You can see applying this software, the underlined planets are retrograde. Yes, if you have any doubts, you can ask. Sir, how to get the combination of having the saintly nature? Okay, that's what I was explaining. See, first, whenever you are reading a chart, complete with the two classical textbooks, lots of different houses and Brihu. And then we know what each planet is. As I said earlier, we know what each planet is, what each house is, what each graha is, and also what each sign is. We know all these things. The Maharishi has already explained, and then only he is talking about lots of different houses. So from what we learned, try to always apply. After that, if you combine with lots of different houses, and then if you combine Sutram, most of the things will start applying. And the repeated combinations will surely apply. And then give importance to the aspects, strength of planets. For example, if the planet is weak, you give importance to that. For example, here Mercury is weak, so there is no family life because the second house of family is seriously afflicted by Saturn Ketu, and the owner of the second house goes to the ninth house, though. But again, there is an affliction in this strength. So his his given name is Swaminathan Shastri. That's what Wikipedia says, and he died the age of 99. He has written books, given speeches. You can find it in Wikipedia about Chandrasekhara, Chandrasekharendra Saraswati. That is the name given to this sage when he attained the status. Generally called as Kanchi Kamakoti Pitam, Jagat Guru. These are the other names of Kanchi Periyavar. He actually attracted we found that one combination, right? The person will have an attraction from masses. Not only if you see Wikipedia, I'm able to see so many information. He even changed the religion of a person called Natesa Iyer from Christianity to Hinduism. Initially, he was a Hindu person only, Mr. Natesa Iyer, and then he turned into Christianity. Then Mahaperiyava again changed him into Hinduism. Lot of persons, Dalai Lama, Satya Sai Baba, Mahatma Gandhi, Mr. MGR, Kannadasan, Rajagopalachari, M.S. Subbulakshmi, Madurai Mani Iyer, Indira Gandhi, so many great dignitaries have met him. We are actually blessed to see chart of such people, great people, who have divine energies. Yeah, many people, those who visited him, even now those who are visiting his samadhi are, no, like feeling the divine vibration. Jupiter is the eighth lord, so when the eighth is the house of like death also. So when the eighth Dasha Bhukti started, there would have been some problem. And since Jupiter is also having a connection with Sun and Mars is also aspecting, and since Jupiter goes in Parivartana with Venus, the lifespan was very long. When Jupiter Dasha started, there would have been some problem with the health, and he finally attained Samadhi. Okay, so if you have any questions, you can send me an email, or when I post it in YouTube, you can also give your comments. Okay, thank you.